Welcome to the Warren Cycling Podcast. My name is Dean Warren. I'm in Sarasota, Florida today.
And I'm Randy Warren, and I'm in Asheville, North Carolina.
Excellent. It is the 15th of February, episode 317. And man, we kind of were slack a little bit last week, missed out on a podcast, and there's been so much racing. We're like way behind in a way, if you want to talk about everything. I mean,
honestly, I thought we also missed out on a win by an American too.
I know. The last podcast we failed to mention the one-day race win by Neilson Paulus in it was in France, southern France. It was a one-day race. It was a great win, and somehow we missed it. But Neilson gave us more stuff to talk about because his follow-up race, which was a Tour of Provence, was it? No, it was Bessèges. Bessèges? Yeah, a Tour de Bessèges. So we started talking about that, I think, last time. But, yeah, it seems like such far history. I mean, look now, this is what we want to talk about today because my screensaver or my wallpaper picture behind has the latest American victory. So just to recap this year already, we had a stage win by
Neilson Paulus. Oh, no.
Well, we had a one-day race win by Neilson Paulus, but before that, we had in Argentina, we had
Quinn Simmons
get a stage win there. So, and then Neilson Paulus winning not only a one-day race, another one-day race. He's won a couple of those before, but then he wins the overall, and it's super exciting. But 1 second on the last day time trial in the Tour de Bessèges, and then today, Matteo Jorgensen. A couple of days ago he won stage 3 in Tour of Oman, and then today.
And that was important too because he won by 1 second that day, and that ended up. Having that gap was important.
Yeah, got the time bonus, and then Marius van Severant today won the stage, but
he got a time bonus. Yeah. But also Jorgensen finished second today,
right?
And Severant finished second that day, so they traded first and second places.
But there was a gap
because he had that 1 second. That's what did it.
Wow. So we got all that to talk about.
A remarkably hilly race too. Some years this race is basically flat with one climbing stage, but this year was only one sprint stage. And then all climbing stages, kind of, or at least stages with climbing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to talk about this then first and work our way back?
Sure.
So, fortunately...
Especially since we couldn't get video coverage on it. We didn't see...
yeah. No, I've been having...
I tried from a whole bunch of different countries and couldn't get on, and then I saw a little bit of internet complaining about lack of video as well. But you saw highlights, though.
Yeah, I've been watching highlights. If I don't find something on GCN... I usually find on YouTube. So I should remember to highlight these YouTube channels that are putting up these race highlights. So you maybe help you find them. But
my neighbor told me this morning she's been watching GCN on YouTube.
Oh, really? Yeah.
While she's doing her spin workouts, apparently she watches GCN coverage.
All right. So I go to Oman stage 5 highlights, and I got to pull it up here. Watch the commercial. I was trying to think because they put their little logo up in the upper right hand corner. You'd think the logo would be impactful enough I'd remember who it is that's putting it on. No. Yeah, actually, there's two different highlights. This one is. I thought this one was like through the Tour de France organization.
ASO.
Yeah, because that's why I found that earlier. Shoot, where was the other one? Well,
actually, it might be because ASO, I think, puts on that race. Which is
because it says Tour de France, and when you look at
it, they do. Actually, I've got a banner up here. Tour of Oman. Let me get it. I had a friend.
Yeah, get the banner. Meanwhile, we're looking at Randy racing in his race there.
Okay, see this one?
Yeah. It's coming in and out because of Tour of Oman. Yeah, I can just barely see it. It's that thing that disappears the background.
Yeah. The arrow. So
Yeah.
George Christensen, my friend George Christensen, was there one year, and he got me the direction sign for Tour of Oman. And that's the race I think that he said that Eddie Merckx and Christian Prudhomme were talking to each other, and George was just a few feet away from them, and a bunch of kids came up, and George was in cycling, a little bit cycling gear with his touring bike, and they all wanted George's autograph.
two legends in front of him.
Yeah, because they didn't know who Christian Prudhomme or Eddie Merckx was. That was one of the first years I think they had it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and George said at that point too, the crowds weren't very big, and all the crowds contained people that were expatriates from other countries. Like hardly any Omanians were actually there watching it.
It looks really nice. The scenery, it's not all just desert. There's a lot of like fortresses and green areas. And I know a little bit. My friend Thomas, who's the one of the team doctors for Age de Jour. He's there. He likes that race, and actually, he sent me the picture that I have behind me.
Yeah, right. That's not even a stock photo. That's
I should photo credit by Dr. Tomas Klimashka for that picture there. And actually, we talked to Matteo, I think 2 years ago. Have a nice podcast. We should always know which episode if you want to go back, but you could find it. And I think I talked to him, pretty sure, at the Tour de France last year. So. No, he wasn't in Knoxville, was he, for the U.S. Championships? No, so you didn't see it. No, because he did the tour. He wouldn't have been there doing the tour. Anyway.
Yeah.
You
could technically do it. It's just a tight turnaround.
Yeah.
So I don't know if no one does it that way.
No. So, but I did send him a congratulations, and he answered. He said thank you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So. I hope he got a lot.
Maybe we'll get him back.
Yeah, I hope he got a lot of congratulations. So, but the interesting thing, I think, that I found interesting because Velo News they had good coverage of him. Like I don't know who they have, someone reporting or just maybe from his interviews because he got interviewed a lot. But before this race, or before he won stage 3, he was and he got second on stage 2, right? So he got 2 seconds. He was right behind Herrada, and he knew he wasn't going to outsprint. I think Ulissi and Herrada were there. He knew he wouldn't be able to outsprint them. But even before that, he was saying, "Man, I'm working real hard. Really, I want to win a race. I haven't won a race yet. That's like a big target of mine for 2023."
Fourth that day.
Fourth. Okay.
Yeah. Close to.
No bonus seconds. He wouldn't have gotten bonus seconds,
right.
But he was right up there. Yeah.
And Van Semmerent was 5th that day too. Yeah, and then Lutsenko, who had won twice before, was 6th. It was a tough race for sure. Everything except for the first stage, which was a sprinter stage, was a really tough course. Yeah,
but I think they were racing it fairly easy. It seemed pretty relaxed, except for it got nervous for Matteo on stage 4 because Lutsenko attacked from way far out. You're like, what's he gonna do? So he ended up like chasing after him himself to bring him back.
And some of the stages, like stage 2 and today's stage, mostly was just the end. It was the hardest part.
Yeah, so I think it was pretty relaxed for part of it. But he was just, before he's like, oh man, I really want to get a win. And then even it said after he won, had doubted himself, even that he was worthy to be a professional bike rider. I mean, he's 23, he's pretty young. He's been there. I mean, Movistar's invested in him. But after the way he raced last year at the Tour de France, being in 3 breaks and getting a couple of fourths, I don't know. I mean, it's not a win, but he seems pretty good.
Yeah.
And he was up.
But it's funny because Quinn Simmons had similar language too, because he didn't get any wins last year too, and yet he was in a lot of breaks and stuff too. And so Jorgensen also was the same kind of way. You're in breaks, you're making moves, you're obviously really strong, but then not getting that win.
Yeah.
It's awful tough to get wins in cycling too.
Oh, super tough, super amazing that he pulled off not only the win, but then to hang on and to get there overall. And be part of a list now, overall winner with you're looking at some of the past winners.
Yeah, Nibali, Froome, people like that. Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. And so so he was really relieved to get the win, and he had good support from his teammates, and it's nice to see Americans on the top step of the podium. Man. And I mean,
we don't see
had a
often.
season. I mean,
hopefully it bodes well for the rest of the season, right?
Yeah. Well, Magnus Sheffield, we're gonna have to look for a win from him. I mean, he won a couple times last year, so
he's on the cusp too.
Yeah. So yeah, that was exciting to be an American cycling fan, except for when you can't watch it live. I had to go.
That was so disappointing. I kept looking to see if it was, and because I use the VPN on Great Britain and the Netherlands and Belgium and Germany and then U.S. even, because sometimes you can only get a race in the U.S., which is rare, but once in a while, but nothing. Yeah, it just wasn't shown.
Yeah, well,
especially if the ASO owns the rights to it too, which would seem like that's their race. So I don't know. Yeah,
yeah. So you can go back and watch highlights. Maybe I don't know. There was Human Powered Health was there. They were getting in the breaks.
Yeah.
Stephen Bassett was in it. Even the local Oman, national team, he was in the break, so that was good. No, I think I guess most of them probably go on to race in Abu Dhabi or go on to Abu Dhabi to race the UAE Tour.
Yeah,
maybe so. Tomo says I said, "Oh, you're heading right away to Abu Dhabi," and he said, "Not till Friday." So they've got a day to hang out in Oman. Probably, maybe it's nicer to hang out there than it is in the United Arab Emirates. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances I think that we don't get from here. We all figure it's Middle East and it is warm and people are probably there, and there's good racing too for sure. So yeah, make a block of it, and get some just like in Australia and.
Is this the race that Cavendish started out at? There was just one sprint stage.
Not this one, no.
Where was he? Was he in the Saudi tour? No. Where's Cavendish?
He's going to do UAE. He was in another race.
They had a one-day race before it.
Is he in Algarve? Where is he? No, he did race just a few days ago because he finished. He didn't. They're still getting the sprint train down, and they're having trouble with it. But they were.
There's so much going on. I'm having a hard time keeping track with all the races because not only this Tour Oman that just finished today. You got the first day today of the Andalusia race, which is called the Ruta del Sol. The Volta Algarve in Portugal started out.
You see that the Kristoff one?
Yeah, Alexander. I was looking at it because I was seeing the race. See, there's so many things I wanted to talk about, but we'll just jump right through it because Kristoff was in the running close to winning a one-day race I think it was in Spain, Almera. Yeah, Clásica de Almera. He was right at the front, but then there was a Q36.5 rider that won. So I thought, wow.
Right.
Matteo.
First win ever.
Yeah, it was amazing. Okay.
Kristoff's been racing professionally since 2006.
No, he was in Oman. Mark Cavendish just pulled it up. That's what I thought it was. It was the Muscat Classic. Was the debut? Was the first race?
Oh, right.
And they had some circuits like towards the end, and he dropped out. Like a lot of people dropped out.
Everybody did. Yeah, it was only like 20 guys finished, something like that. Yeah.
Jente Biermans won from Arkea Samsic, so ahead of Jordi Warlop, Andrea Verdum. Yeah, so how many people finished there? Matteo was 12th that day.
You see that Kristoff has been racing professionally since 2006.
Yeah, and he signed through 2025.
Yeah.
So.
He's 35 years old.
And he won today.
He won, yeah.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's a classy rider for sure.
Yeah, and if you can go back, there's one of my longer interviews from the podcast. I had at least a half hour or more of Kristoff back. I don't know, quite a while ago. So there's that one. If you want,
yeah. He's 78 kilograms.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That's big, but the other guys there's some bigger guys for sure too.
Well,
I'm not sure how tall 1.8 meters is, but this
is going to be we're jumping around a lot, but that makes me think about Arnaud Delis. Arnaud Delis, which I don't think we've talked about him much. I think he's 81 kilograms.
Oh wow!
And he won. He was leading the race that Paulus won the first couple of days and just smashing it. He's just super powerful.
He's a tall guy.
I just saw that he was because I just saw his name when I was looking at that Clásica Almera that Kristoff was fourth. He would look like he was finished. Arnaud Delis was he second in that race? Anyway, but then it was won by the Q36 rider. But
Matteo Maschetti. Maschetti.
That's crazy that they got to win. I think was he ahead of Arnaud Delis? Which race was Arnaud Delis second in?
Yep, Arnaud Delis was second.
Yep, Arnaud Delis.
Yep.
But okay, we should pull up his name because
Arnaud Delis, he's 78 kilograms this year.
Oh, it says 78. Okay.
He's a little bit taller too than Kristoff. He's 1.82 meters, and Kristoff is 1.81 meters.
Let's see, how old is it? Okay, he's 20 years old.
20 years old.
Lotto Destiny rider. He's Belgian, and he's going to be a force. He is a force already. He's just using his brute strength now to get because he won the first stage. Second stage was neutralized at the Tour of Bessèges, and then the third stage he won again.
He won the points classification overall.
It was a tough finish too, and then he was even hanging in there quite a while in the climb on the stage 4.
He finished 8th because I think he was. I think the race broke up a lot, and he made the splits and stuff, and then hung on much better. Yeah,
and
he won the points classification, but he was 7th overall in the GC too.
Crazy, but he got beat at the Classic Alameda by a Q36.5. Anyway, but then it was Paulus that was really pushing it. He looked great. But it was he actually broke away. Did you see that in stage 4 in the Tour de Bessèges? And then Skilmos caught up to him. The Danish rider for Trek Segafredo.
Oh yeah.
And then so then they were riding together to the finish, and Paulus just he knew he was had to be. I mean, it's not that easy. I mean, racing, but he kind of had a little hiccup, I guess, to not get around that tight bend at the end. For the sprint. I mean, he seemed to come up close to him right away, but it wasn't enough to get the win. So he lost the time bonus and didn't win. And so I think he was maybe a little frustrated. He's racing so well. So then it came down to the time trial. And and then he ended up winning by 1 second overall.
1 second.
1 second.
Yeah. Yeah, and he finished like 7th or 8th in the time trial, I think, right? So it wasn't like he was winning the time trial either, but it was.
Mats Pedersen just crushed it.
He
won the time. It had an uphill finish.
Yeah,
tough uphill.
And he was Mats Pedersen was riding so strongly during the race too. He just was on fire that race in general. So, because he was trying to set it up for Trek Segafredo, and at one point they had like 4 or 5 guys, and Pedersen kept pulling like for such a long time too.
Yeah, so Paulus was 21 seconds behind in 8th, and
Yeah, but it was. I mean, to have to give it so much and to be able to win by that 1 second. I mean, and they didn't know for a while now and either too.
Yeah, when I was watching, I didn't think he was going to win. I mean, it looked like there was. It almost looked like he was too close to the. I mean, that uphill finish. Like, he's only got so many meters to go. He's gonna. But then the time went by, and he did. Yeah,
I think the announcers were a little bit because you had that sharp corner at the left-hand bend, and then from that corner to the finish it wasn't that long, but it was 5, 6, 7 seconds, maybe it was a little bit longer, and so at that point I could say he's not going to get to the line in time. There's no way. So, it was a nail biter for sure.
Yeah, so that's great. So on the 1 second advantage side for 2 overall wins for American riders.
Yeah,
but. Just looking at this time trial, though, it's impressive how many young British riders are doing well.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
In this time trial at Tour de Bessèges, all riding for Ineos, which Ineos, I think, does well at getting the riders to do time trials well.
And the British cycling culture, there's a lot of time trials, a ton of time trials. So they're all brought up throughout the ranks.
10 mile time trial, and the track too, because the track, that's where they put the money. So Joshua Tarling, second, Ben Tulett third, and then Ben Turner 7th in that time trial. And then I think that's why you got to jump around, because I think a couple of those riders were up there in another race I was just looking at today, one of the finishes today. Did you see How much have you been watch? Because I was doing pretty good actually the week that we didn't podcast of keeping up and watching a lot of stuff pretty live and following it. But now I've been seeing just more of the highlights.
Yeah.
Because
when I was pre-riding gravel camp routes in Tennessee, I watched quite a bit then because after I get done with the ride, I watched a bunch of stuff then too. But when I'm home, it's harder because I've got other responsibilities besides cycling here. So yeah, it's tough for sure.
But did you see? Okay, this is kind of jump into the next one then. Tadej Pogacar, the last 2 days. They had that dirt road race, the 1 day race, giant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which you won by, I'm looking. I see real quick here by minutes though. So,
yeah,
I guess not.
Over a minute. Yeah. Well, I watched the last. I was watching the last. Well, I knew he broke away from a little under 40K. I thought. Well, actually, it was a little over 40K. He was in a small group chasing after the Movistar rider. And
did you see? I didn't see any of that coverage, but
I was watching it. So I was watching him.
Who's who though? I mean, right? It was. They said it was the Spanish equivalent to Strade Bianchi,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, it
looked
like a lot. It looked like more dirt than Strade Bianchi. Strade Bianchi has these dirt sections, just like Peruga has dirt section. This seemed like it had like super long dirt roads that they're on and climb. They're climbing, and so I'll pull up this race here.
But Ben Turner was second, and then Ben Tullet was sixth.
Okay, that's the results then. So both of those riders who were obviously riding well, doing that time trial in Tour de Pacific, came back to. But Tim Wellens and Mark Hirschi were third and fourth. And
and Andres Kroon's fifth too.
Yeah, but UAE had 3 riders in the top 5.
Oh yeah.
So, but
Warren Barguil was ninth too. I mean, he's a tougher 1 day rider than people give him credit for sure.
I saw he was involved in a crash with JJ Rojas in another race, and Rojas was complaining about something. But so, anyways, Turner or Wellens and Hirschi were helping Tadej, chase down the Movistar guy, and then Movistar, he didn't even hang on, did he? I think once he got caught, he was out front for a while. I don't know how long, but Tadej was slowly reeled him in, and then he, they were together for a little while, and then I think it was an uphill section that Tadej just rode away from. And
you see that Andrew Vollmer was in that race too.
Andrew Vollmer.
He was on Evolo. And now he's on Electro Hipper Europa.
Wow.
Another American pro over in Europe.
Oh yeah, there he is.
He was the last finisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well that looked like a pretty cool. I think it was only the second year of that race. So
yeah, it's pretty new.
Jane Braiso Interior. Looked pretty good. Well that was, the day before the Ruta del Sol of the Andalusia race, and Tadej Pogacar has changed his schedule a little bit because he has been racing the UAE Tour. It's big. This is their big home race. Mm-hmm. He's won it last couple of times, and so
just real quick too on that that classic the gravel race in Spain there. So Lucenko won last year with Tim Wellens second.
Now I'm thinking Tim Wellens. He's a guy. That's the kind of race he could win and do well. So now he's racing.
Yeah, he's probably thinking.
Yeah, I'm well, is he happy to be on? Because he's probably earning a better paycheck with UAE Emirates, but he's not getting the opportunity. I'm racing here with Tadej, and he's like on a mission this year because he lost the Tour last year, and he's going to win everything. I mean, he's just crushing it, which is crazy this early in the year for like a Tour de France contender. Where's Primoz Roglic? I mean, he's not even he's going to do the Giro. But anyways, a top high-profile rider like that. Egan Bernal, knees bother him, so he's not even going to start. And then last year's Tour de France winner.
Yeah, but Pogacar always has a really strong early season, though. Yeah. He's always crushing it, and then he takes a little break, then he crushes it again. So.
He's going to do the Tour of Flanders again.
Yeah.
I just saw Nielsen Paulus has Milan-San Remo and Tour of Flanders and Dwarsdorf Flanders added to his or on his schedule now. So
he's definitely a long, Paulus is so strong over those long
well,
distances.
Yeah, because I mean, look at the World Championships in Belgium a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He was 5th, right?
5th, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was super long, hard race. Yeah. Hopefully,
that's his strength. And of course, winning San Sebastian, same thing. That's a race that that last climb is the killer one because you're racing so hard for so long, and then anybody has anything left at the end, So yeah, no, he's we're hoping there's good things, right? I mean, it's amazing to have men winning these huge races. They're not the biggest races, obviously,
but still winning races. It's so hard to win a race,
right? Yeah.
Well, today though, the first stage of the Vuelta Andalucía Ruta Ciclista del Sol. That's the whole name of it.
Right.
Ruta del Sol, Tour of Andalucía.
Ruta del Sol, yeah.
Those get were used in. He's up against likes of Mikel Landa, Carlos Rodriguez, who finished 2nd and 3rd, Tao Gegenhardt, who was riding well already earlier with a win, Pavel Sivakov, Damiano Caruso, Enric Mas, Jack Haig. These are some of the best riders, and Pogacar just rode away from all. they put a climb.
It was a really tough stage. It didn't finish uphill.
No,
it was
well,
actually,
it did finish uphill.
A little descent.
A big descent, then an uphill finish.
Or was it just very end was uphill?
Yep, very end was uphill.
The last
a lot of downhill.
Yeah.
But it could have been like a really cool finish if you had riders coming in together. It would have been a tough uphill finish, but
I kind of like what it was. I didn't even check to see that was that on TV. I didn't see any video on it yet too. But that last climb, and then a decent descent must have separated things out, right?
That's where Pogacar took off.
Yeah, because it was Pogacar, then Landa came in. He won the group sprint, from 2nd through 4th. So there's he, Rodriguez, and Buitrago, too, from behind.
Yeah, who's been riding well at the beginning of this year as well.
Yeah, they all three came in together, and then Degenhardt, then Sivakov, and then Sivakov.
Degenhardt was a minute behind that other group.
Yeah, 138. Yeah, but he was 1 second ahead of Sivakov though, so he must have been in that group and just made a little push at the finish to get a second gap too. So it was pretty busted apart. I mean, there wasn't more than 4 or 5 guys together until you get down to 16th place. Nick Schultz won that sprint, and that was like 10 guys together. Nelson Oliveira back into that group, and then it was all over the place. So for a stage race too, you're going to be
the first stage. There's 5 stages.
Right. Yeah. It's
no time trial. I don't know what they have for climbing, but
lumpy stage tomorrow with a little bit of an uphill sprint again. You're going to get a lot of people being aggressive, I think, with brakes and trying to get off, and UAE control that.
Yeah. I mean, what
little lumpy finish at the end for stage 3, stage 4. Again, lumpy. These are hard stages. These aren't nothing. We're stuck with the pack riding together.
I mean, he's got 5. Tim Wellens, George Bennett, Rafael Micah. Those are all riders there to support him.
Yeah, and every stage is not easy. So there's no flat sprinter stages for sure. That's a tough race.
Wow. All right.
It's gonna be hard to control. And people taking a lot of risks. I bet there's going to be flyers with strong riders in the breaks every day.
Well, sure. I mean, they got to do something.
Right, yeah.
To gain back that much time. I mean,
yeah, it's not going to be like just the local guys who get the wild card teams getting in those early breaks and shining, getting all that TV time. There's going to be World Tour teams launching potential stage and GC guys in those early breaks, I think, in later breaks for sure.
Well, it's pretty awesome to have that kind of racing this early in the season already.
I know. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Well, okay. Since we didn't talk since the Cyclocross World Championships, I think we need to mention that.
We didn't talk about the World Championships Cyclocross? Oh man.
No. Our last was before it.
Wow, that was the women's race was anticlimactic, I think for sure. Men's race was the duel we expected.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, they just cancel each other out. I think I watched the whole thing of both of those races.
I watched most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so the women's race horrible start for Clara Hunsinger. Unfortunately, it was like terrible World Championships for the Americans there.
Americans did not.
And Curtis Way was the only on the men's side. Yeah, it was. And I was reading. Did you see about Andrew August, AJ August, 17-year-old?
No.
Could have contended maybe for a podium at the Cyclocross World Championship. He's a hot tubes rider, has raced and I think he did pretty well last year overseas, and he's got like every World Tour, like big World Tour teams already talking to him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's gonna be good. But he does well in cyclocross and on the road. Prefers the road. And
I did see that.
Yeah. So maybe had he been healthy, we could have had someone up there in the junior cyclocross.
Was he sick?
He crashed and was injured, I think.
Oh, okay.
Coming up before, yeah. So, well,
it was disappointing for Americans for sure. I mean, we were the last two women after the start. It was not good. Yeah.
But
so
Rochette,
worked her way up.
Magdalene,
she was like 17 or something.
Rochette, didn't Rochette get up close to the top 10? Canadian.
Oh yeah, she had a good race.
Yeah.
She had a great season. Yeah. I forget where she finished, but yeah, she had a solid race. She had a great season. She raced really well. I mean, I think she's the Pan Am champion, right, too. And then she's just said, yeah, that's really solid season. And then two Canadian women, two sisters, won the junior, first and second. Did you see that? That was some history making.
I probably saw it, but it's been
the two junior, the first and second in the juniors race were two Canadian sisters.
Crazy. Well,
and then Matt, said did not win the U23 race.
No, that's because one of the big stars did it. Sharon Van Aroy, didn't she do it? She did it.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was, and she won handily too. But
but Zoe Bextor was second.
Yeah, of course, everybody was in the top, in the podium in the elite race for under 23, I think too. So.
Well, okay, but the men's race, neither one could drop each other. It looked like to me. I thought that we were dog sitting. Sorry, I thought Maui would be outside would keep him quiet more, but now he's barking outside, and now our dog that we're dog sitting is finding her voice. No, not Snoopy. A new one, Sophie, little black dog. Hey, Sophie. Sophie, look this way. Yeah, and so actually she's been super quiet, but now Maui's getting her to bark. I thought Van der Poel did look a little stronger during the race.
Well, that's what Van Aert said too. He said that Van der Poel was stronger than he was that day, but he thinks he's still going to beat him.
Oh yeah, he could have if he would have been where he was supposed to be.
If he actually would have jumped out of the last corner.
Yeah.
Like apparently they did talk about that.
They knew it, yeah.
But he thought for sure that Van der Poel was going to make an effort after the barriers.
Before then.
Yeah.
Right.
So that just threw him off. And so it just shows you when you're at that level, you think you got everything dialed in. You're so good. And Van Aert and Van der Poel are so good at so many things that even those guys make mistakes. Well, Van Aert just got thrown off his game a little bit, came out of the last corner onto the pavement, and he should have gone right then. That was the plan, to go right then. But he didn't. They didn't talk about it very much because they thought he'd be second out of the last corner. And that's in his mindset. That's what he was counting on. And then when it was different, he kind of had a brain fart.
Yeah. Well, it's like Nelson Paulus. He knew he had to go around that last corner to win, but he didn't. But I think also Van der Poel, he had the other two advantages were that it was more of a home race because it's close to where he's from in the Netherlands, and it was really his target. He was targeting it.
Yes.
I don't think Van Aert. I mean, of course he was targeting, but it wasn't as important. I don't think to him. He even said before, it doesn't matter if I win another World Championship. So which is a way maybe just to take the pressure off him, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it does matter.
It does matter, sure.
In terms of like his career, though, yeah.
It doesn't help. Yeah. So it's just a great preview. Plus, whoever else is going to be riding well for the Spring Classic. So we're going to have an awesome spring.
I saw a podium picture of Van Aert and Van der Poel when they were juniors. I think like 14 years old, something like that.
Oh yeah, they've been going at each other for a long time.
Yeah, he won and Van Aert was second. So it looked like they're little kids. It was funny because it was especially Walt Van Aert. He looked just like, and he's a grown up version of that kid. Where Matteo was a little bit changed a little bit over the years too. So
yeah, just super impressive riders that they've transitioned to the road and can still be put in such a strong cyclocross season as well. And so
and it's great that it's not over now too, because for years at this point in the season we'd be like, well, it's too bad we don't see those guys battling it out other times during the year, and now we do.
Oh, well, okay, now I just remembered the first stage of Tour of Oman, Cavendish, new teams, still working out things. It was Tim Merlier that was dominant, winning that sprint. And Merlier,
who's he on now? He's not Nelson anymore.
No, I think he's on. Oh yeah, he's taken like more or less Cavendish's place in a way. He's on Quick Step.
Quick Step. Okay.
Yeah. So, but he said I did win a race in cyclocross season. We don't think about it. So he has been a strong cyclocross racer too, but he's really come on as a top sprinter.
Last couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, last couple of years.
And he was Belgian road champ, I think, 1 year too, and he's definitely
he was winning a lot for
Alpecin,
Phoenix, where Van der Poel wasn't like the only one winning for that team.
No. He gets a little overshadowed, but he's super. Yeah, he's a super fast sprinter.
Yeah. All right. I took notes today so I wouldn't forget anything because I just can't believe we didn't mention Nielsen Paulus' win, that one-day win. Well, now we could talk more about his more wins. But anyway, you sent me. I got two things that we didn't touch. That's more North American related, I guess. But it's the Esports World Championships, though, right? The article I skimmed it about the chances of the U.S. riders doing well in esports, which I don't know how many people are that following that World Championship, but there's definitely a lot of people that live in cold climates are spending time on the trainer and doing like e-racing, right?
Yeah, but there's world tour riders who've come from the esports.
Well, Jay Vine, right? Didn't he?
Jay Vine, right? And Jay Vine won last year, I think. He won the World Championships even as soon as last year, but he's not racing this year. So he
won the Tour Down Under and he's buying cars.
But yeah, there's definitely super strong people. It's amazing. Some of these people, the top, I think all the British riders, the UK riders, so not just, they're going to be riding in person, the whole E team.
Together
in Scotland,
in the same place.
On a stage.
Well, aren't they doing the course from Scotland? Are they doing a course from? Yeah.
So they're going to be on a stage in Scotland, racing, and when the course is outside in Scotland, and it's a different format
on a physical stage.
Yeah,
this is where the word stage means it's like a stage of a race, stage race. They're on a stage like a platform where they're going to be up there, and so
you
people
can see them ride.
Well, probably
but
gives them good
it's
energy.
Also a three-stage. It's not like one race like it used to be, and it's on Zwift, and like all the U.S. National Championship was on RGT, and Wahoo is even sponsoring. Wahoo owns RGT now, and we just had the national championships this last weekend for U.S. and Canada together, and Jackie Godby, who won from Triple X Racing, she won, and she's one of the people going to Worlds.
Didn't we have her on the podcast too?
Did we have Jackie on the podcast? Did we interview her? I don't think we have.
No, I thought we did. No. Anyway,
so. We should though. Yeah, so she was I think 5th the first year they had Worlds, and then she was I think 8th last year. So she's 2 top 10s in the Worlds.
Yeah,
she's in a residency in St. Louis right now, so she's a resident, and yeah, she's still I know she didn't have a world ranking though with her name in that article too, but she's like I said been 2 top 10s in the World Championships. But it's a 3-race series, all back to back. I think they're all raced in one day. Really close together, like a very small break in between the races to determine the winner.
Stage race.
Yeah, but so they're short, punchy races. That's one reason why they said they thought the U.S. had a better chance of winning is because we've got a lot of people for one thing, and we have a lot of people that are really good at these punchy stages. So it's not like one thing Jackie's good about it. Like the national championship, I think she went off the front really early and just sold the whole thing. She's so physically strong. She does, way over 4 watts per kilogram for like these huge 2-hour races. She's super, way stronger than I am, that's for sure. So she's tactically really good at racing too. All these people are really good at racing e-races too, because you race it differently for sure. So our teams, we have a deep team. and we hope that someone for sure will get on there. And it's not just like in the past times it comes down to like timing your sprint from a small, reduced bunch, that kind of stuff. But now it's going to be like, these races where you got all these punchy finishes, and then you eliminate like most of the field after the first race, and then you've got a smaller group in the second and then third, and it's going to be crazy. I guess it's
Is this a race where you have like things, boosts and things like that, or is it only?
Well, on Zwift now, so RGT you don't have any of that, but on Zwift you do, I think. And I know last year, maybe they won't use them this year, but last year people were strategically saving certain bonuses. So if you have one of the bonuses that you didn't want, like there's some that are better than others, then you would use it. But if you had the one you wanted, like the sprint boost or whatever it is too, right? Then you saved it. So all the riders had it, and then when do you use it? Because it only for a certain amount of time. I think the sprint ones only last like 10 seconds or something like that too. So you use it to finish the race or to get ahead right before the finish of the race. It's definitely gameplay for sure.
Like a video game, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew saw me riding one time, and he said, "Hey, you're playing a video game." But it's on Zwift's YouTube channel, I think. So if you go to Zwift's YouTube channel, and it's this Saturday, so it's right. I'm not sure what the time is, but I'm sure you can look it up and see. But it's fun to watch.
The 18th of February here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as much fun as
Dad's 94th birthday.
Yeah. Yep. Wow. I'm actually gonna race the first road race of the year. The Hincapie Series starts off this Saturday, and so South Carolina racing, and it's February 18th. I think the last couple of years we were started in March. We started a little bit later, but this year probably the only one I'm going to get to do, because on Sunday is the Maryland Grand Fondo E race, and that's where the national championships are going to be for Fondo this year, is in Maryland. And I've never ridden that course, so I'm going to pre-ride part of that in the E Fondo race on Sunday. So I'm going to do a real race in real life in Donaldson on Saturday, and then an E race on Sunday. So yeah, the racing's starting here in the United States too. Wow. E race or otherwise.
Yeah. All right. Well, when we were talking about Zwift and E racing, made me think about Strava being in the news lately.
Yeah.
Possible big price hike. But then also the CEO just resigned, right?
Yeah. But he's resigned once before too. Apparently his wife had cancer and he resigned for like 6 years. And then he took back over again, I think in 2019. I think he resigned. It started in 2009, I think, and then he resigned in like 13 or 14. Then he came back in 2019. Now he's resigning again. So yeah, it's weird. And then the price hike thing, apparently they just rolled that out really badly. I have a yearly subscription to them. I'm not sure I didn't hear anything about it necessarily from that, but apparently it was unclear. They couldn't really give people an idea of how much they're going to have to pay and who's going to pay what. And then they backed off that, and then now they're trying to reassess. So there was a little bit of hype there, but it wasn't. He's not resigning because of that.
Okay.
That's
what I wonder if there was some relationship between.
Yeah. No, I think he's just that it's time for a change of leadership. But he's very involved in the company no matter what. I'm not sure if it's a thing like he's going to still be a majority owner or something, but it sounds like he's helping to handpick, as they move into the next realm. Apparently they doubled in size during the pandemic. And so, yeah, they've got like 1 million users or something like that. It's huge. It's huge. And so you think 1 million people paying even the. Yeah, I forget how much it is. Maybe they increased by that. But it's a big business for sure now too. So,
All right. Yeah. Well, I also I don't want to forget. I saw in the news, because we sent a message about possibly interviewing someone with this National Cycling League calendar with a big purse, a big prize, and big name riders on teams that have names that sound like American sports teams, like the with the Denver Destroyers and the Miami Blaze. But I just saw the article the other day that Legion, because we wonder what other teams are going to be involved, and we made contact, and I got a response from their website to possibly interview someone. But then I said what we were interested to find out, and we didn't get a response back. So maybe we asked the things we want to know, things they just don't know yet, because they haven't been forthcoming with what teams are going to be racing besides the top teams that they said were going to race, which now Miami Blaze says they're not going to race, as well as Legion and Miami Blaze said they're not going to be taking part.
There's two Miami teams though. There's one, an NCL team that is racing, and then there's another Miami team that's not racing, I guess, but it's not part of NCL. But there's
Well, I would think the NCL team would have to race if that's
because they're owned by the league. So there's a Miami team owned by the league, and they own the Denver team too. And it sounded like they were going to invite other teams, in Legion is one of them, and Legion turned it down. And a couple other teams have already said they're turning it down too. And the reason why I think too is because something had to do with ownership. So like the NCL needs to have some kind of ownership over the team or something like that. And so a lot of these teams are saying, hey, that's not the way we operate. We don't operate like that. So we can't really be part of this. And they're all wishing it good luck. They're all hoping it does well.
But they weren't saying why though.
Yeah. Well, I was hearing the reasons were like, it was because the ownership structure made it tough for them to participate. So, because it is a big prize purse and stuff too, and so a lot of the teams, like we were saying before, are these like recently retired World Tour riders. They're gonna be doing this, or they're riders that have a little more flexibility. They're not locked into a contract for a team that's gonna be racing on other races and
Reinhard
stuff.
Jens van Rensburg, one of those, he was second in the South African road race.
All right. Yeah, so there are lots of questions still. So it'd be great if we got to interview them. But you're right, maybe they don't have all the answers yet to be able to be interviewed yet.
All right. Well, maybe I'll come later on down the road. It's a couple other things I wanted to mention. Richard Carapaz won his national championship racing, for the first time for EF Easy Post, but also before that it was wow. I'm getting so old I can't remember names that quickly. The Smiling Colombian.
Oh yeah. Begins the E. Right?
Esteban Chavez. Sorry.
Esteban Chavez. Yeah. He won the national championship, right?
Yeah. He won that. I was super excited. So EF was going to have quite a few national champions on the roster. Stefan de Boom won the South African Time Trial Championship too. So. Oh
right, yeah, and he was really active in a race that I was watching the other day, where EF was trying to set up a rider that they ended up finishing third, but it was a very dynamic one-day race that EF had 4 guys in the lead group, and were duking it out big time, and they didn't end up being able to capitalize too much. They did get on the podium though, but the South African champion was really crushing it.
He's the time trial champion. So
this was maybe it wasn't South African. Maybe it was Eritrean road race national champion.
Rahowi Kudus.
He was riding really strong, doing a ton of work.
Yeah.
He was in the break, and EF was chasing it down because apparently he didn't feel like he could win. The break was very powerful. EF caught it on, and then he pulled like crazy then to try and set themselves up, and so that's great that there's so many races. Sometimes I lose track of what race I'm watching, or now I think back about it, but that's why it was so weird that Oman wasn't on TV, because RCN or GCN at least, because so many races are right now. It's great. It's like kind of watching, you can always turn on and watch a hockey game or basketball game right now, and you're like, you might forget, who was playing then, because you watch so many of them. You could, I don't watch that many, but you could. And then bike racing is almost getting to that point now where almost every day you can click on and watch a race. And
after the Tour de Bessèges and the Saudi Tour ended, it seemed like there was a little gap. There was some days where there weren't any racing going on.
Right, yeah. Which is actually fine, because I don't have time to watch all the
So, all right. Well, we got
the next World Tour race though. That's the really big one. UAE starting Monday. I think starting a week from this next coming Monday. So
yeah. All right. Well, we got birthdays to go, and we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes. Seems like there was one more thing that jumped in my mind, but it just jumped out just as fast.
Oh, there was one with me too. Let me look real quick and see. NBC Sports.
Tour de France. So.
Yeah, but that was kind of odd too, because was it Cadel Evans road race? It was Phil Liggett was on the GCN coverage.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
That is interesting, because Phil Liggett works for NBC still, so he's often on the U.S. coverage of the Tour de France, and he gets criticized a lot for forgetting names and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah,
and
like he's on our podcast.
Oh Lord, yeah, I know. Forget it, right? And Phil says that too. I've talked to Phil before. He was at an event one time in Chicago, and as part of the event, you could try and broadcast. Like they showed part of the Tour de France stage, and you were supposed to try and.
How hard it is.
Yes, that's what he said. He said, "This is not easy. People all think they can do this, but then when you're put on the spot, you can't always do it." So, but he actually did a pretty good job. It was interesting because they had, one of the regular, play-by-play commentators as well, and so he worked with, and he has a lot of connections. He gets a lot of interviews. So that was one thing he really added a lot to. Is he's like, "Oh yeah, I was just talking to this guy, or I was just talking to that woman, or I was talking to." Right. He really he added a lot to it. I think. I don't think he's the best primary,
color guy then, huh?
Yeah, but as a color guy, you're right, with the North and South there too. But anyway, so I'm sure he's probably on that 6-year extension too, because Phil is a legend for sure. So he's going to be in that.
I know. I just remembered. I think I was thinking that I saw the African Continental Championships were just taking place in Accra, Ghana, and that's a place I've laid over a couple of times when you got that bamboo bike from the hotel, and I know that one of the guys that works there. I talked to him. He likes to cycle, and I gave him a kid even. And so I sent him a message, "Hey, did you get to go watch the race in Accra?" And he said, "No, I was too busy working." So he's working and studying hospitality. I thought, that's too bad. But that would have been cool. I think it was, looks like a lot of Eritreans did well in that race. So,
which makes sense. Eritrea's got quite the cycling program. So.
Right, they do. All right. Well, we've covered a lot of different races going on. Highlighting, though, Matteo Jorgensen winning his stage race as well as getting a stage win. I mean, policy, he won the stage race, but he didn't get a stage win in it.
No.
So this is even better, right?
Yeah, and of course he's got, his San Sebastian win will always be his biggest individual race too. But yeah, getting a stage race win is huge. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to turn that off.
One of the top all-time world championship racers is celebrating his 47th birthday today. Did you look at the list? You mentioned before Max Scandry, a British writer, is on the list, but ahead of him for points, Oscar Ferreira. So
Oscar Ferreira, either he had a back injury or he was world champion. He won 3 times.
Yeah, three-time winner. So Peter Sagan's a 3-time winner too, isn't he?
Yeah. And right. I think he won in 04, right? When I was
in Hamilton, right?
No. Well,
Verona.
In Verona in 04. Yeah.
Who won in Hamilton? Do you remember? You went there.
I was on the hill still.
Yeah.
I don't actually see the finish in Verona either. So
I was in Stuttgart in 09, and I'm pretty sure it was Italian winner there. I don't remember. We were in Richmond in 15, and we saw Peter Sagan win there.
Yeah, we saw that one too. Yeah, if you're in Hamilton too, I remember is a big name rider for sure too. It was a tough course, but if it came down to a sprint though, and Oscar Ferreira was not injured, not a back injury, so he won in 99, 01, and 04, and he won Milan-San Remo 3 times. So
wow.
Yeah. Also, he won in 04 that same year, then 07 and 10. Yeah, he was again. He got hurt. He had a bad back, and so that really hurt him a lot. But he was the kind of guy that could play a finish like nobody else. Man, he was really good. So I want to say one year he won Milan-San Remo. Was that when Eric Zabel celebrated prematurely?
Oh.
Zabel thought he had it, and
well, so. I'm wrong on my year. It wasn't 2009 in Stuttgart. It was Paolo Bettini winning 2007 in Stuttgart. What year was Hamilton? Do you remember?
Was it 03?
Could be 05. There it is. Yep. Igor
Astroloa.
Oh,
yeah.
And Valverde was second that year. It's crazy. Valverde was second that year, and then Valverde finally won in 2019 in Israel. Oh, I was there too. That's right. I've been to 3 World Championships. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So it was 04 that Ferreira beat Zabel, and Zabel, I think that was the year he raised his hands. And there's a great picture of him raising his hands, and then Ferreira had this huge bike throw, and Zabel kind of looking over to the side, going, "Oh no, I think I just lost this." And then it was Stuart O'Grady and Alessandro Patacchi, on the top 4 guys there.
Chris Horner was 8th that year in Verona.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
Wow. All right.
Astaroloa too was sixth in '04. So
All right.
he won the year before, and then he finished the next year. He was sixth place. Is pretty good defending the title for
All right. If we go off on all these tangents for every birthday celebration, we're gonna be way over. So Max Sciandri, like you said, is celebrating his birthday.
Yeah. Sciandri, who he raced for, he raced for Motorola for a long time, but he also, or not for a long time, just for a little bit, I guess. Huh. But he raced for a long time otherwise, so too. Yeah, he raced for the Francis de Jour and Linda McCarthy team that also didn't last very long, unfortunately. Lampre, CSC. He raced for Motorola for 3 years. That's like.
Yeah, Patrick Bevan still racing. New Zealander. He's 32 today. Happy birthday to Patrick Bevan. Mark DeMar is 39. Nico Dents, he's still racing. He's 29th.
Mark Walters, a Canadian, so he's 47. He raced for Navigators for a really long time, and he was on Mercury for 1 year. But he was
Eddie Gregas.
Mark Walters.
Oh, Eddie Gregas' birthday. He's 55.
Yeah.
Won a stage at the Coors Classic. Wow. 99.
Yeah, I mean he was Jelly Belly too, and Postal Service for 1 year, so he was kind of a good pro for sure, but kind of like not quite breaking through in the highest level.
Hey, look down in 51st. I mean, a few of the same list. Sometimes they're a little different. Jamie Book.
I wished her happy birthday earlier.
All right, yeah. Jamie Bookwalter.
Yep, she was a
Brett
pro.
Bookwalter's wife.
Yeah, early on for sure. I mean, when I never knew her as a pro racer, she stopped racing before I knew her. It looks like 13 maybe was her last year racing on a pro. But she did, Philadelphia so that year, and she was a really good racer, really strong racer. She's won a bunch of trail races now. She runs, I don't think she's done anything since they've had their child, but
trail running races, huh?
Running races. Now she runs trail races primarily now, long ones and stuff, and does well. She's a significant athlete for sure.
Right. Kyle Russ is also 37 today. Happy birthday to Kyle. All right. Well, I think that's good on the birthdays. It's the 15th of February, like we said, and lots of racing going on. So we got all those stage races to follow up on, and not too long before the first Northern Classics in Belgium coming up the last weekend of February. So a little time, but like you said earlier, the next World Tour stage race, UAE race coming up. So with no Tadej Pogacar because he's killing it there in Spain, doing something different.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. In Rwanda, that's Sunday, the 1 day race, Tour Rwanda. The Tour Rwanda is a 1 day race this year.
It is not a stage race this year, huh?
All right. Oh no, it's the 2.1. No, it is. I guess it just starts. It
just starts. Okay, I thought that would be pretty strange.
Yeah, and because they're still going to hold, was it 25 or 26? They're holding the World Championships there. So, and they've had a few political things happening recently that I hope to put that in jeopardy. But yeah, again, another African country that's having a lot of cyclists coming through that program, and so it's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's always great to catch up on everything and try to sort it out. Man, what would we do if we didn't have computers to look up the stuff that we can't remember? But
we'd be waiting for Velo News or Winning Magazine. So Jack Symes, he wrote something on his Facebook page recently about the origins of Winning Magazine, and I didn't get a chance to read it, so I need to go back and read it. But he started US Pro as a pro cycling organization before USA Cycling was in charge of pro cycling, and so but he talked about winning, and winning is how he used to find articles about races and stuff, and it was very well written, and it was really good photography too, so it was great to get those things. But yeah, it'd be like 2 or 3 4 weeks after a race was the closest you get be like 1 week after a race would finish.
It's kind of like going on vacation and taking pictures or slides and wait till you get back and send them off to get them developed before you get to see the pictures. Huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Times have changed. Yeah.
They have changed. We're blessed.
We're still complaining when Oman is not broadcast live. especially when
Well,
Matteo Jorgensen.
especially because it was before. So,
yeah. All right.
We do.
Great to catch up with you, and yeah, we'll talk to you again real soon. Hopefully sooner than last time. All right.
Yeah.
All right.